Okay, so we're here with Alan Blackley. Alan, you've been a part of LCC for a long time, right? And I don't know if some of you may not know Alan's story, but Alan was married to Kim and lost Kim tragically. How many years ago has it been now?
It'll be 8 years in December.
8 years ago. And Kim and Alan had AC together, and this guy passionately loves his son and has made it his life goal, right? When you say to raise him in the best way you can. But that was, I know, a really tough time for you. So we've been in this series talking about what it means to be a neighbor to those around us, and we've talked about the differences that we have from each other. And this particular week, we're talking about race, which is really right now very divisive and polarizing. There's a lot going on in our country right now. It's a difficult time. And I remember you and I got together right after the death of George Floyd, which was just unbelievable. And I won't forget having the opportunity to sit in Bob Evans together and just talk about what was going on and getting to hear more about your story. So I thought, if you're cool with it, and you're a Bengals fan, right? So we gotta clarify that, and so you're one up on us Browns fans. But so and we just like to hear. I'd like to hear from your own personal experience. Like, how does racism show up in your life, and whether it's small ways or big ways? Help us understand what it's like and how it's played out in your life.
Well, it's a lot of times it's hard to explain because you grow up and it's just taught to you on a daily basis and it's ingrained in how you do things. So a lot of it is hard to explain, but there's other things that are pretty easy. Like some of the small things are when you go to the store and you're looking around and the security guard's following you. So, and you start to ignore it because you know that that's just what they're gonna do. They're gonna follow you because they automatically assume that you're out to do something wrong, whether you are or not. Um, or the exact opposite, you get up to the front counter and you have a question or you want something and you get completely ignored and you're standing there for I've been at the cologne counter at Macy's and been sitting there waiting for somebody to help me out and been completely ignored, and then someone else comes up and all of a sudden there's somebody in the department and they're getting helped. It's like, well, I've been waiting here for 5 minutes for someone, 5-10 minutes for someone to come over, and no one shows up. So like those are like the little things. Um, but other things, like when I was in college, I went to Ohio State, and everybody knows Ohio State High Street is the main drag. And when I was there in the '90s, it was like me and my friends were in this old beat up car going up High Street, checking out the girls on High Street. There's traffic, so we're going like 5 miles below the speed limit, and we get pulled over because they say that we fit the description of a store that got robbed, and they pull us out of the car and have us all sitting on the curb, and they're asking us for ID, and we're sitting there like, what do we do? We're doing nothing. We're not running away from anything. We're going below the speed limit in an old beat up car. We're not escaping from anything, and we're college students. We all went to Ohio State, so I mean things like that. Or um, I got pulled over and I had my son in the car. We were going to a baseball game, and the police officers got out of the car with their hands on the gun, walking up on each side of the car, and it's just it's like, okay, so what's gonna happen? And you're holding on to the steering wheel, it's like hoping that they don't do anything and don't think that you're trying to do anything. So, and you just see all the things that are on TV. And I have this conversation with my friends because growing up, you were always taught, well, if you ever have an interaction, just do what they tell you to do. If they tell you to stop, then you stop. If they put your hands up, you put your hands up. Whatever they tell you to do that and you'll be all right. But then you see the news and a man's on the side of the road with the flat tire trying to fix his car and he gets shot and killed. He needed help getting his car fixed. Or you see someone selling cigarettes at the side of the convenience store. He's selling one loose cigarette. I mean, they do that all the time, and he gets killed. So I mean, it's like so then it makes it so hard for me to tell my son what to do when he's getting to the age where he's going to want to go out and test his freedom and do all the things with it and hang out with his friends. And it's like, what do I tell him to do so that he'll be safe? I can't keep him at home all the time because that's not good for anyone. But every time he walks out the door, is that going to be the last time that I see him? Is that going to be the last time that I come home? So it's like, those are the things that just kind of, you think about it, it's like, what am I going to tell him that's going to keep him safe every day? And everybody said, well, if you're not doing anything, there are so many people that are dying and they're not doing anything. They're broke down on the side of the road. They're asking for help. I mean, you see, there was the guy that was in Central Park, and the lady's calling 911 saying that he's attacking her, and he's telling her that she's not supposed to have her dog in the bird watching area. And the difference between now and before is that it's on videotape. So now people can see it on videotape.
How does that affect your life in the day-to-day as far as, like, are you apprehensive about going out? Does it affect when you go out? Do you think about those things with the places you go?
Yeah, always think about those things and where you're at and when you're gonna, what type of area you're gonna be at when it's dark and that kind of thing. So it's always in your mind, but it doesn't keep you from doing things because you have to get out and you have to live, but it does affect. And then sometimes it's just like, well, no, that's just not something. But it's one of the things that I always think about is, well, you got to know the people that you're around also, because, and one of the things I tell my son is the people that you're around also affect how you're treated, because the people you're around could be doing something and you could be doing nothing at all, and you could be the one that they decide is the bad apple in that group. So you have to make sure that you're not doing something, or if they're doing something wrong, that you get away from that situation and stay away from it. So it's like a constant that you're always thinking about, but it's kind of hard to explain because it's just kind of
right. And part of the, I don't experience those things, as a white male. I don't experience the things you experience, and part of it is trying to just hear and understand, because one of the things Tom shared a couple weeks ago was that when you love your neighbor, right, you stop along the road. You don't just pass the person by. And I think a lot of people are a little more aware now of what's happening in our country because it's being so highlighted now. It's also becoming very polarizing that way too. How do you feel about the future? Are you hopeful or are you skeptical?
I've always been optimistic pessimist, so
You're a Bengals fan. Come
an
on.
optimistic realist. So it's like I always hope for the best, but then there's it seems like things are different now, but like it's because everybody has a camera. So it's the things that people could get away with before, they can't get away with it as easily. I mean, there's still people getting away with things, and there's video of it, but it's not as easy to get away with, and the outrage becomes more because more people can see it. So I think there's more opportunity to make changes, but everyone is so divided that no one wants to have. It feels like no one wants to have a civil conversation. I grew up where you can agree to disagree, and it feels like now you can't agree to disagree. It's like either you see it my way or you don't, and if you don't, then you just need to go somewhere else. And that's not how it was when I was growing up, but now it seems like that's the only option that people are giving you now.
Do you feel like things have gotten better as you've gotten older, or did you experience racism as a young boy or as a man differently than you experience it today, a young adult versus today?
Yeah, I think it's different, but it's still there because I remember growing up. I went to predominantly white high school, and then I went to Ohio State. So it was in high school. It was always well, you're different. It's like, well, different from what? It's like because I was in the suburbs and I didn't live downtown in the in the projects or anything like that. So it was like, how am I different? I'm not different. It's just I'm me. So and so it just so to me, I guess that's, and then it's just seeing, but I don't, I don't, and I mean, I've had lots of different experiences. Like when I started working, um, I don't know if this is on topic or not, but I had a manager that I was in the top 5 in my position in the company, and I was going for a promotion, and she told me that she didn't think I could do the job, but they were going to let me try anyway. It's like there's only 4 other people that are even close to me, and you're talking about you don't think I can do it. So, I mean, things like that, and then training your boss. I trained people to be my boss multiple times. So it's like,
Looked over.
yeah, because it's like you've been there. Any people come in that don't have the experience that you have, haven't been with the company as long as you have, and then you're training them to be your boss. And that's kind of like the subtle thing, and it's like, and it's the, we always call it the golden boy. It's like the golden boy is coming. So you got that person that they want to be the manager because you don't look like what they want their managers to look like.
Yeah. So you can even anticipate that that's coming
Yeah.
and happening. What do you long for? Like as what do you long for to happen in our country, and what do you long to see happen for AC?
I don't want him to have to worry about the same things that I've had to worry about. I don't want to for him to have to.
It's okay. Sorry.
He's all I have, and he's all I've got left of Kim, and I don't want to see him become another statistic because something happens that don't have any control over. Because, like I said at the beginning, it's like there isn't any. What do you tell him to keep him safe? And I mean, I want him to be able to live out all his dreams, become the engineer that he wants to be, to not have to worry about not not being able to do the things he wants because somebody doesn't look at his qualifications because they're looking at what he looks like and not what he's capable of doing.
How do you? I'm assuming you and AC have. I hear this often that black parents have to have a conversation, right, with their kids. Have you? What kind of things are you talking to AC about?
Well, it's just, I mean, yeah, we have I mean, it's kind of like it's a continuing conversation. So it's just, you build on it as they get older, and you add more to it and explain it and more as they get older, because when they're little and then they've got friends, and then all of a sudden one of the parents says, well, we don't want you playing with him. And then you have to explain, well, why can't I play with so and so? So then you have to explain that. And then when they get older, you have to explain why they can't do certain things a certain way. You can't just go and pick up things and play with toys in the store, because then you got to make sure that people don't think that you're taking them. When you're little things, like when you go to the store and you buy something, you get a receipt in the bag if you can, because you don't want people thinking you're stealing something out of the store. It's like, and because so it's kind of just like you're always explaining to them, and you're always reaffirming those things, and it's kind of like I'm all it's like a continuing conversation that you're always having. And then um, one of the other things that I do is I have him read books and history books, and add those into the conversation, so he sees those perspectives and sees some of the things that have occurred in history that are just facts. There's not someone said something. These are facts, and this is the history in our country. So um, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of hard to, because it's kind of hard to say exactly, because like I said, it's just kind of always talking about things. And yeah, and then when there's an incident that comes on TV, having a conversation about that, and what happened, and what we need to do to try to stay out of those situations, because you don't ever want to put yourself in a situation where that might occur to you. I mean, you can't stay out of all situations, but you can try to keep yourself in a good position where you're not in some of those situations.
Well, I I admire the way you love your son and your heart, and I'm sorry. I told you that when I got together with you. I think a lot of times I just don't know what to do to change the situation, but I am learning that there's a whole lot more I can learn, and to learn is to start to begin to enter into other people's pain and to fully understand what's going on. So thank you for putting yourself out there and to sharing. And I think we all hopefully understand a little bit more, and hopefully are all praying for change to come, and not just praying, but are involved and active in finding how God is leading us to be a part of the solution to this, because I don't think any of us want to see this happen in our country or in the lives of black people. So thank you.